Welcome back to another episode of Pioneers and Builders in Jacksonville, Florida. We call it PB and Jax, where we meet with people who are building companies, running nonprofits, pulling the city forward, and overall just doing what's best for Jacksonville, Florida. Today, amazing guest, somebody who's built their own company, grown it, done it right here in Northeast Florida, Conceptual HR, Shana Ryan. Shana, welcome to PB and Jax.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Thanks for being here. Before we get underway, very important thing, go Noles.
Absolutely. Go Noles.
Go Noles. Thanks for being here, first and foremost. I want to unpack a couple of things in this conversation. Number one, what was it like to build a company here in Jacksonville? You know, what have been the challenges and obviously some of the things that have gone well, some of the things you've enjoyed. We'll talk about what you're expecting over the course of the next 10 years, what Jacksonville's doing well, what Jacksonville's not doing well, and then we'll turn you loose.
Okay.
All right. So you haven't always been a business owner.
I have not.
It kind of got to that point. So a little bit of background, I said you own Conceptual HR, so you own your own HR company, which tells me you were probably in HR before. So we graduated from Florida State. Let's start there. What was the career path before we started our own company?
Well, to be clear, I didn't graduate from Florida State.
Oh.
I'm a huge Noles fan. I grew up in the Panhandle, and I graduated from Florida State College in Jacksonville.
Okay.
Business, and I did the Jim Moran Institute, which is through
Florida State. Yeah.
So
that counts.
it does count.
It
does count. I have a certificate. So growing up, I really didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, and just always found myself in HR positions. So I worked just doing payroll. I worked for a staffing company where I got to travel a lot. I worked at a pharmacy where it was figure it out and figure it out quick. So my senior vice president, Leslie, actually, she and I worked together. And we had started with about 20 employees and grew it to over 700 in less than 2 years.
Oh my goodness.
So the bubble popped, but fast forward, I went to another pharmacy for a little while where I was an HR manager and was laid off from there just due to budget. Stayed home with my kids for a little while. But then when my little guy started kindergarten, I could either go back and get a full-time job being an HR manager director for a company, working 40 to 60 hours a week, or I could start my own consulting. Joke's on me because I typically work 40 to 60 hours a week easy, but it's definitely different owning my own. And I was just going to do some consulting here and there and just figure it out. And Leslie came on board with me a few months later after I started it. So she and I have been working together since the beginning. Had great mentors along the way who really instilled get to know people, build relationships, give more than you take. And I had no idea this world existed before I started Conceptual. And I'm absolutely obsessed. I love it. I love connecting people. I love helping. I love being out in the community. And, working HR in an office, you don't typically get these experiences. At least I didn't. So I'm very thankful to be here.
Yeah. As somebody that does work in an office, you are 100% correct. It is hard to get those experiences. And if you're not consulting, you're really just working on the internal structure, right? You're not being able to connect with different people who have different problems to solve. And then you get to work different parts of your brain to help solve the problem. I completely understand that. So how long have you owned Conceptual? How long has this been a business?
April will be 9 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So it started as consulting. I mean, it's still consulting, but it started out as you were going to do a little bit here, a little bit there.
Very project-based.
Yes. So where did it turn into like, okay, I've onboarded a ton of clients. Now this is like a full-blown thing.
It turned into where we fully do outsourced HR because it's never just a handbook. And we learned that really quick. So a lot of other business owners will think, oh, I just need a handbook. And then you have conversations and that turns into, well, you need job descriptions, or this person should really be an employee, but they're a 1099, or they're on salary, but should they be exempt or non-exempt? And I'm trying not to get too nerdy with the HR, but there's several laws that need to be followed and applied. And business owners just don't know it, which is why we exist. And we can take that off of their plate. And we just learned really quick if we just say, hey, it's going to be this much a month, we're on a retainer. It doesn't matter how many times you call us because there's a full moon and everyone's acting crazy. We're here to help and we're here to support. And we never want our clients to feel pressured of, I can't talk to them because I've already talked to them 3 times this week and I'm going to be billed like crazy.
Mhm.
So we're there to support. We are proactive with that support with regular check-in calls, but we're always there to help. So we just learned real quick that the small business community needs that support. Strong support. You get the same person every time. You're not being transferred 3 and 4 times, re-explaining your story. So we want to know the company and partner with them.
That's wonderful. How many clients do you only service Jacksonville? Do you only service Florida, or do you service the nation?
Most of our clients are based here in Jacksonville just because I'm so embedded in the community, but we do have a lot of clients who it's a remote workforce these days. So they want to hire someone in New York or Colorado or wherever. So we help them to make sure that they're abiding those state laws. And so they're primarily based here. We have a few speckled out throughout the US, but they could have employees in all sorts of different states. But we do only work domestically. We
Uh,
don't do any international.
okay. And how many employees are you now up to?
We're up to 8. So,
Congratulations.
which includes 2 contractors.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful. I think I'm ready to blow some people's minds in terms of what all HR entails, because so many people think like HR is just the person you go to complain to. But there's so many elements to it. There's so many pillars to it. So as somebody who consults, you probably have to engage your different customers or your clients differently based on their needs, correct?
Yes.
So conceptual HR embodies what different pillars of HR?
So we do payroll, which is very different than a lot of companies. We will step in, and if you love your software, we're not trying to change it. We'll come in and set us up as an admin and we'll run it. If they don't love it, we'll handle vendor management. So we do that. We'll help set up benefits. We are not brokers. We have great relationship with brokers. It's a matter of picking up a phone or making an intro email. Same with workers' comp. That's huge. Unemployment, we'll handle those claims. Employee relations, it gets tricky because it's your baby. Like your business is your baby. So you get very emotional about it. So we can come in as a third party to help take that emotion out and look at strictly the facts, make sure you're getting your documentation, things like that.
Non-biased support.
Exactly. And then we'll also write all your documentation for you. We handle compliance. So I mentioned states. Every state has different laws, different taxes. We can set up all those accounts for you, make sure you're following the laws. Even sending out posters. You can get fined for not sending out the proper state posters. So we make sure that's done. And the one thing we really don't touch in is recruiting.
Okay, so talent solutions is not your bag.
No.
Do you partner? Do you find others to help? Okay,
Absolutely.
wonderful. And how often does that become a thing? I mean, do the people you partner with, I'm sure that they ask like, hey, do you do recruiting? You say no, and you say, do you know anybody?
Exactly.
And so is that a pass through? Like, are they like a sub vendor to you where they submit the candidates to you, you submit them over?
No, they would work with them directly. We
Okay.
just make an introduction, step out. Where we would come back in is when they say, hey, I want to hire this person.
Onboarding, yep.
Right. So then they submit that basic information to us. And from there, we'll take over whatever it is. If they have drug testing background, get them plugged into payroll, offer letters, get them plugged into their benefits, whether it's health, retirement, whatever. If they're in a different state, set up the workers' comp for that state and the payroll taxes for that state. So there's a lot to it.
You were talking about payroll systems earlier. Like if they don't love theirs, that you're willing to kind of help them. Do you have a preferred one?
It depends on the size of the company. So if they're small and not looking to add a lot of team members, don't need a lot of bells and whistles, we typically use Patriot. We've had a relationship with them since we started. And then if they are looking to grow and they want very specialized high technology, we typically go with Paylocity.
Okay. And you work with small businesses. So what size, I know they're small to medium, but from the amount of employees they have, or even we can do this based on revenue, how small do you go with support, and then how large do you go?
We've come in at 0 before, where we've had a founder who got funding and said he wanted everything set up and a roadmap before he hired his first person, which I think is incredibly smart. And then we have some with close to 100. They have some internal HR support, and we can come in and support that HR
Mhm.
So if there's an HR department of one, for example, and they're drowning, they can hand off some
Oh,
compliance and things like that to us as
supplemental.
well.
Oh, okay, that's great.
So we can do it all, or we can support internal HR.
Okay, that's really cool. I have no doubt that you have probably seen people kind of rail against HR in the past couple of years. I think there's a couple of high profile companies like X/Twitter being one where they've just eliminated HR
Mhm.
altogether. What is the importance and why is it so important to have an HR team, as a part of your organization?
HR, your employees are your most important asset.
Mm.
So having the right HR in place is incredibly important because you can't grow your business and you can't support your customers or clients without good employees. So employees need to be taken care of from, the simple compliance pieces, making sure benefits are set up, making sure they get paid on time is super important, but also having a sounding board. And that's a big difference with us as well, is we are employee facing also. So generally, we, with our outsourced clients, will have an HR email address set up on the company's domain so they can reach out to us directly with from something as simple as I locked myself out of payroll and I can't remember my password to, hey, we need to hop on a call because this is happening. So we can help get involved and circumvent potential risk because employees can come to us directly.
Also, very cool. The I'm sure that things have evolved over the course of 9 years. So you're saying like employees can come talk to us directly,
Mhm,
we can do supplemental support,
mhm.
we can take the whole thing over. And I'm sure for each of those things that we just talked about, there was a first time for having to do it, which in turn means you kind of had to pivot here, pivot
Oh,
there.
yeah.
You took the business as it came. Why was it important for you to kind of be nimble as a small business owner?
The whole point of our existence is to help small business. So if we're not doing what's helpful for small businesses, there's really no point in us existing. So we pivot and we saw a need of, well, if employees could reach out directly to us, that would be super helpful because the reason for hiring us is to alleviate what you're doing. When I say you, either the business owner, maybe an accountant gets thrown into that, an office manager. Our whole point is to take that off of their plate so then they can do what they're best at and we can do what we're best at, which is HR. So when I mentioned earlier, it's never just a handbook, it always turned into more. So it's like, well, let's just put it at a flat fee. So there's no surprise fees. I've worked with I have clients that have worked with other HR, bigger enterprises that offer HR services. And then they would have all these surprise fees and not know where they came from or why they're
Mm.
there. And I never want to be that company. So we are basically just taking what we see that we don't like and not doing that and adding what is important for what we hear from our clients.
Wonderful. Really is. As somebody who has to service these small businesses, I'm curious how much of the business you've received over the past few years has been referral based versus, conducting outreach and having to introduce yourself since you're no longer up and coming. But, there was probably a time where you kind of had to pound the phones.
Never had to pound the fence.
No way.
Never had to. I've, as I mentioned, had really good mentors in the beginning of finding the people that can't do what I can do. I will say, as a consultant, it was a solid 2 years of planting seeds. I had a client here and there based on relationships, actually, from what I did in the pharmacy. And that was my first client. He was a vendor in my previous role, right? So when I started Conceptual and made a post out on LinkedIn, he's like, oh my gosh, I need a handbook. And he's kind of the one it's never a handbook and it
Mm,
turned into all these other things. Oh, but no, I've just actually started doing cold calls.
that's incredible. I mean,
It's
truly.
all been referrals. So I would say 95% of our business now is referrals and 5% found us just by a quick Google search.
Did you know, like, as you were launching that you kind of had the relationships obviously you had the relationships, but the ability to obtain business in your back pocket? Maybe that was made it easier to launch, or you just launched and then started,
I just
touching base with your mentors?
Yeah, I launched and just got introduced to people and put myself in a place to be introduced to people, even though it was
Mm,
super uncomfortable and was not my cup of tea at the time. Now I can walk into a room of strangers and make friends, but
mm.
when I first started, it terrified me.
Yeah.
So,
So the best piece of advice I've ever gotten, and I'm going to ask you here in a second what the best piece of advice you have is, but most times the answer is just get started. It is the most basic, fundamental piece of advice. I'll give you an example. Most people that we've done 50 plus episodes. So most people started with an intention and then they went to market and they immediately had to pivot. The market told them what to do,
right.
but they would have never known that if they didn't. First guest ever, his name's Jordan Walker. He has an app called Backtrack. He founded a company, went to San Francisco, pitched it, went horrifically bad. Horrible. So bad that it kind of like laughed him out of the room. On the flight home, he was saying to himself, I really wish somebody would have recorded that so that I could watch it and see how I can get better. And he was like, let me build that. So he built Backtrack. And the idea was you would be able to record things, play it back, transcript, etc. Went to market. Not much was happening. And then somebody said, I think this would work really well at a conference. Give it to all the vendors. So they went to the conference, they gave it to all the vendors. The Backtrack recorded all the conversations that they were having instead of having to hand out business cards. AI would transcribe and notate the conversation and then set up the follow up meeting from his phone. And now he's booked at every freaking conference in the United States. Insanely successful. But his advice was just get started. He said, I didn't know where we were going with it. I didn't, but I had an idea. Market told me something different. So for you to say that almost warms my heart a little bit, because the advice I give people is like, if you want to do something, put one foot in front of the other and then let the people kind of push you in the direction you need to go. What is the best piece of advice you could give somebody that's starting a business? And you can't use just start.
No, I won't. I think the best piece of advice is the networking piece
Mm,
because you can't do it without people. Put your one the thing you're one conversation away from a big pivot,
mhm,
and whether that's business and money in your pocket or getting an idea for something else or an introduction to someone else, you just have to put yourself in the room and you have to put yourself in a place to receive by having a
mm,
conversation. So don't miss the moment of having the conversation and get yourself in the right room,
mhm.
because it's true, if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So find another room.
Yes. So for somebody who was terrified of it or didn't love it and now you're fine with it, what's the best piece of advice you can give somebody who needs to network and is a little bit jumpy about it?
You have to get out there and do it. And just like everything in life, you get comfortable by being uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And what's the worst that's going to happen? We're all in our own heads about things. And I mean, even this made me a little nervous, but here I am. You have to do the things to get used to the things.
Yes.
So I do think that some people's personalities are different and more accustomed to just be able to get over that bridge easier. But I still think everyone's capable of it. It might not
Mm.
be as easy or natural for some people, but it doesn't mean it's not doable.
Yeah. How would you advise somebody to network? I'll kind of contextualize the question. Instead of going up and saying like, "Hey, I'm Randall, I really need a job,"
Mm.
or "Hey, I'm Randall, I really need $500." What would you say to somebody that's like, "Okay, I'm networking for the first time. I'm trying to build meaningful connections." How would you how would you describe the best way to do that?
Keep what keep the insider language and what you're there doing to a minimum. Obviously, be able to tell what you do in a very quick sentence, but ask about them. Ask what they do, ask where they live, have conversation with them and find out how you can help them. That was the biggest thing that I did. And that's what I got from my mentor was how can I help other people?
Yeah.
And in turn, it all comes back around. As long as you keep giving, it comes back around.
Do you think a good question to ask is, what's your biggest pain point right now?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that
Or
if
who
some
can I introduce you to? You know people, even if you're just starting out, there's someone that you know.
yeah, 100%. So I think a great question is, if I could wave a magic wand and fix your biggest problem right now, what would it be? and then let them tell you like, "Oh, I have a really big, my HR system really stinks," or
Mhm.
"I can't find talent to save my life," or "We're having really difficult trouble keeping our IT up and running." Well, I just happen to know somebody who owns an IT company,
Right.
so there you go.
Yeah,
And you're right, it does. It always comes back around.
it does.
For conceptual, you've kind of ridden the wave, and so things have been going on for 9 years. I guess out of the gate, do you feel that you're finally in a place where you can kind of settle in, or do you still have the entrepreneurial spirit where you're like, this has to get done, this has to get done. I'm not really ready to delegate this off. I need more clients. Are you still in the go 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 mode, or do you feel like you're in a position where you can kind of settle in it and manage from the top?
I'm definitely in the go, go, go mode. We're in a different stage of the company. And I heard something recently. I went to a seminar recently and I heard something of, obviously, I'm a mother. So if you relate your business to a child and them growing up, the tools and the skills that you need for a newborn are different for a toddler or different for a tween, a teenager, so on and so forth. And it's the same thing really in business. What you need, from 0 to 500,000 or different from 500,000 to 1,000,000 and then 1,000,000
Mhm.
to probably about 10 and so on and so forth. It's just total different skills and knowledge base and tools, because what you could do with a smaller client base and smaller revenue, now that gets backlogged or could even break, right? So then you have to figure something else out. So I'm definitely not anywhere near. I'm grateful. I do have a good team. I don't
Mm.
want to paint that picture. I have an incredible team and there has been occasions where I've been out, even this past week when I was out, and I knew that the business would run itself perfectly. I knew there was going to be no issues. My job is really now in the business development, the networking. I'm head first into that to find new clients because we do have revenue goals for this year. And then also to help continue to streamline internal operations or find the people that can do that and help us with that.
Okay. Um, Over the course of the last 9 years, what has been your favorite moment as leading this company? Or like maybe your favorite client story?
I think my favorite client story is we have a client who was in a PEO, professional employment organization, and I don't want to bash PEOs because there's definitely a time and a place for them. They had reached out to us probably a year or so before they signed on with us to see if we could take them on. And they had 60, 70 employees. And at the time, I did not feel comfortable taking them on. So I politely declined and they went with another PEO. Fast forward, he calls again. He's like, "Are you at a place where you can take us?" And I said, "Yes, let's have a conversation." That was over 3 years ago now. And at the time, after he did the numbers, and this is a husband and wife business, they're in it every day. They do a great job. It's a veterinary practice, and we're saving them over $10,000 a month from their PEO, and they're getting way better service. So they're really happy with us. They sing our praises all the time. And that's what this is about, to help those small businesses that are, just doing a really good job. And they do great things for their customers and their pet families. So I'm just really happy to be a part of it.
Yeah. How's that feel?
Amazing. I know that's such a buzzword here lately.
Mm.
Everyone uses the word amazing, but it's just an incredible feeling to be able to know that we are helping them and then they in turn can use that money to help grow their business.
Yeah. Yeah. I can absolutely see that.
Mm.
I want to ask on the other side because I understand that there's pitfalls in entrepreneurship. So
Sure.
over the last 9 years, what's been maybe the biggest horror moment? Maybe it was a bad client, or maybe it was getting off the ground. You hit a wall. But over the last 9 years of this entrepreneurship journey, what's been the hardest part?
I think the hardest part was, and it's the reason that we don't do recruiting. So we had a recruiting deal and the money was great. It was our biggest deal at the time. We were maybe 2 years in. So, but we placed an employee, a really nice fellow, into a really not nice organization, not knowing that it wasn't a not nice organization because we didn't know the client. Then fast forward. We are getting to know the client. We know the person. And I did not feel good about that. So we just decided right there, we're not going to do recruiting. It's just not, we're too HR. It's recruiting is a different skill set and a different thought about things than HR is. And sometimes they can merge together, but with what we do, it's very difficult
Mm.
for us to have that. So that was my moment of like, oh, we did not do right by him
Yeah,
and felt pretty bad about it.
I understand. I am a recruiter by trade. I have placed people in not nice places unknowingly, and it does not feel great. So I understand.
So we tried to work with them on HR, but it
Yeah.
just wasn't a good fit. So, but that's okay.
How many kids do you have?
I have 4 total.
4. And you waited until your youngest was in kindergarten,
Yes.
correct? Okay. So you had 4 kids to raise, you're a wife as well, and then you decide that you're gonna enter business ownership. How important was it to have the home support?
Oh, incredibly important. Not only obviously financially, right? Because when
Yeah.
you start out, you really don't make anything, and I didn't take out any loans or get any kind of funding for it. I started with $500 just to get my business license and throw a website up and buy a domain.
You bootstrap this thing.
Absolutely.
That's incredible. Before we dive
Yep.
in, how does that feel? You went from $500 to 8 employees, 9 years in business. To me, that part screams like that would feel almost like the best.
I don't think about it that much. I
Yeah.
just did it. I just never honestly, it's just where we're supposed to be now. We're
Okay.
doing really good stuff, and I don't know. I don't get caught up in that maybe.
So you
But
don't there's no like reflection moments?
here and there, I
Mm,
suppose, but yeah, I don't think about it
mm.
that much. It's just like, yeah, this is what we started with and this is what we did.
Eyes always forward. Okay. I can respect that. Back to the home life though. I know that that was important.
Absolutely. My husband's been incredibly supportive. He still is. He's a big reason why I'm more comfortable now with networking and sales and things of that. He's sales
Mm.
as well with high ticket items. So he's been instrumental in whether I'm just venting or need true advice or how should I handle this? This client's trying to do this or this prospect's trying to do that. And he'll give me really good advice on how to approach things. So, but yeah, so from obviously that was super important. And then just from being a really awesome spouse, like
Mm.
he's just been incredible throughout this. So supportive.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that as well.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I know we talked about the company and the entrepreneurship journey. There's also a community aspect. You've given a lot of your time back to Jacksonville. I know you've mentored people. You sit on some boards. Let's talk through that.
Sure.
I guess let's start with the link. We're here.
Yeah,
We're sitting in it.
absolutely.
So you are a link ambassador.
I am.
What does that entail?
When I'm out, I tell people how great the link is and offer them to come in and take a tour.
Okay.
So just to help, raise awareness of the space. A lot of people that live in Nocatee, I've been in Nocatee for 10 years now, and a lot of people still don't even know what it is, and which is
No
just
clue.
mind blowing to me.
No clue.
But I just obviously sharing the posts and things like that, but it to me where the ambassador role really comes in is telling people why I'm here, telling people what it's about, and inviting them into the space, whether I'm making an introduction to get them in here or I'm meeting them here for coffee just so they can see the space.
Yeah.
So
Great building.
it is. It
Yeah.
is. I actually was here when they broke ground and
2021.
and they live right around the corner from me. So Argu and Goofrey are wonderful people. So
Yeah, they really are. Okay. We're hosting an event here in like 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 grains of rice. We're going to
yes.
do the gala, black tie.
Yes.
I just had a tux on a month ago. You're gonna make me put one on again. I'm not a tux guy, but I guess in 2026 I am. Let's talk about it. What's the gala for? What are you raising funds for, and why should people want to be a part of it?
Sure. So 3 grains of rice. I recently joined the board there, but my husband and I have been very involved with making sure we tithe to this foundation. So they are a nonprofit, though they feed a lot of people right here in our area. We've donated furniture and things like that, and it truly goes from the hands of 3 grains of rice to who needs it. They do a lot of support for mothers, and they do a lot of support for veterans. And I want to make sure that whatever we are giving of ours, it goes to the people who need it. And I know for a fact that that's what happened. So we've done fundraisers here and there, but I've never truly been a part of it as far as making it official, right, on the board. So I invited myself on the board and then volunteered myself to put on a gala because I just thought that it would go really well. And when I talked to the executive director, Ed Perez, he was like, "Oh my gosh, I've been wanting to do this. We just haven't had anyone take the reins on it." So we're hosting it here at the link April 4th, which is a Saturday, and looking for sponsors and looking for people who want to come. So
Yeah.
it'll be a good time.
How has the planning been going?
The players been going good.
Mhm.
Everything is coming together very nicely, I feel. So I've gotten a lot of positive response and feedback on it. So I'm
Good.
excited to see how it goes.
I'm excited to see how it goes too.
Yeah,
I will be there.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
What other community involvement?
I recently joined as a board advisor or advisory board for the Jacksonville Business Calendar.
You and me both.
Yes, I know, right?
Yeah.
So, which is an awesome site to pool all the events going on in Jacksonville together. There's so many things to be a part of. Jacksonville's
Mm.
huge. It's a big, small town, right? So there's so much
Mhm.
going on all the time. It's hard to keep up with everything. So it's a good way to pool it all together.
There, it will be announced by the time this episode comes out, so I feel okay saying it. So there's a new AI assistant, River, that when you go onto the Jack's business calendar, you can just say, "Hey, River, find me an event on March 22nd at 7 p.m. in South Jacksonville,"
Oh, that's cool.
and it'll just pull up like 4 events. Be like, "Here's your events. Pick
That's
one."
great.
Yeah. So what Florian's doing, unbelievable. I'm proud to sit on that advisory board with you. I'm a big believer that people would show up to more events if they knew what was going on.
I
Yeah.
I agree completely.
Yep. I know that those were the communities things, but one of the things I know is that you've sponsored some things. I mean, Conceptual HR is, I believe, I know with PS27, I believe Jim Stalling said that there's been some things that you've helped him with.
Yes.
Why is it important to sponsor events and organizations and along those lines and truly give back in a meaningful way?
I want to be involved and I want Conceptual to be involved in however we can help with our expertise at this point.
Mm.
So we've been very, blessed in the fact that a lot of people have poured into us. So it's just only fair to pour back into however we can. So there's a female founders forum that we've pretty much always been a part of. And I'm trying to think of the name of the other one that I did where we were basically a mentor and
So
try.
that was the Veteran Founders Forum. Was there? Because the
Yeah.
veterans one was a little different. They did like mentorship instead of the pitching.
No, they did this. I cannot think of what it was called. It was for startups. So, and we would come in as a HR seat in a nutshell, and they would have where the groups went around. So the companies would go around, and we'd get to talk, with 10 to 12 different companies that were just
Okay.
starting out, and you just could give them basic HR advice of like, here's some good software, here's what you do, here's what you don't do.
Okay.
Them out.
That must have been, it
It,
must have been before I joined the board.
it was a long time. It
Okay.
was probably 2019.
Much before. I joined in 24. Okay. Speaking of, I mean, this is a shameless plug. I'm so sorry, but what'd you think of the awards?
I thought it was one of the best events, probably actually the best event I've ever been to. The details were flawless. It was wonderful.
Yeah. The only thing, the complaint that I kept getting, there was Randall, the event was masterful. Please get different napkins next time.
Well, yeah, I did have to pick up my napkin.
Yeah, it slid.
Just slid
It's
right
hard
off.
to, yeah. So we'll take that. We'll take that to heart and we'll get different napkins next year. I promise.
To be reminded of that. I mean,
Yeah.
not
It couldn't be
so,
flawless. We had to have something. If the napkins were the problem, so be it. But
right.
um,
That's not a bad problem to have.
for me, if it wasn't for the PS27 awards, I'm not saying I would have never met you, but I
Mhm.
met you because of it.
Yeah.
We did the interviews and I'm very grateful for that. And, the fact that we were able to put all those entrepreneurs in one room and for it to be the entrepreneurs who have been on the other side of what it's like to start a company and then turn it into something successful. To me, that was great. And then the other part was we had some entrepreneurs that are in the very early stages of building their companies, and now they got to see what it was like to be on the stage and accept awards and stuff like that. And I hope that it inspires them to continue to build. So I'm really glad you came.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you went too.
Yeah, absolutely. Jacksonville, Florida. What are we doing really well in the business community?
I think everyone that I've met thus far, there's probably a few outliers, but generally speaking, everyone's just so nice and helpful. So I think that I mentioned big city, but it's still a small town. Everyone
Mhm.
knows each other. I love that about Jacksonville. So even if you meet someone for the first time, chances are you know someone, you have a mutual acquaintance at somewhere down the line. And everyone has been, like I said, I mean, this whole business has been built primarily off referrals. So I think that once you build that trust and relationship with people, it sticks, it's solid. And I think that the business community does that extremely well.
Okay. I do agree with you, but you have to ask.
Absolutely.
You have to ask. It's a caveat. People aren't just going to reach across the aisle and say, "Hey, let me help you." You have to show up and be like, "Hey, I'm really struggling here. Is there anything you can do to help me?" And
Hmm.
yes, you're right. For the most part, I've seen that people are very willing.
Absolutely. Well,
Okay.
that's where it comes into, if you are giving and you
Mhm.
are helping, then people
Okay. Comes back
typically
around.
reciprocate.
The other side of this is what can we do better? It's got to be something.
So I'm a part of there's a group called ACG, the Association for Corporate Growth. I'm on that board too, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And I see these big events that go on in Orlando and Tampa and things like that. I think that we could do a better job with bigger things. I don't know what the answer to that is. I don't like coming with a problem
Without a
without some
solution.
sort of
Yeah.
solution. I don't know what that looks like. Because Jacksonville's so spread out, having something downtown excludes a lot of people. It would have to be a really big event for me to go downtown because that's kind of a pain. But I think that, I'm hoping with the new hotel coming in downtown and the Jaguar Stadium being redone, and it's going to I see it happening in that space already where a lot of I went toward the innovation hub today, and there's a lot of different things going on in that world. So I do think that bigger things are coming and it will come together. It's just like
Mm,
everything, it takes a little time to get things rolling.
yes. I think I may have the solution, which is I think you have to get the right people who care enough in the same room and everybody kind of rowing the boat in the same direction to put on
Yeah.
an event and then utilize their networks to make sure you get the right people in the room.
Yeah.
I believe that if you get the people in the room, then and you put on a good thing, then A, they're going to come back and B, they're going to bring somebody with them. So get a group of people who really care about putting on whatever specific event you need or want to put on, and then be very diligent and making sure it gets pulled off and that you market it correctly. And we'll see. Tampa wasn't always like that. Orlando wasn't always like that. They did something. They did
Yeah.
something. So we just need to do the something.
Absolutely.
There's going to be somebody who watches this who is maybe scared of entrepreneurship. Maybe it's too hard. Maybe it's too many hours. Maybe it's too much sacrifice. There might be some people that are kind of curious that you started a company, you sit on 3 boards, you consistently give back, you have 4 kids, you see your wife. That's a lot. That's a lot. So how do you balance it?
Everything goes on my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it won't happen. I have to be extremely diligent about
Mm,
that. So I live and die by my calendar. It's the number one. You have to figure out how to organize yourself. And my calendar is color coded. So I can see easily, when my workouts are, what my personal things are, what my sales things are, what my CEO things are, what my board things are. So I can look at it for the week and have an idea of what my week's going to be like. I also I've started doing a Sunday reset, I would say the past year or so, and that's been super helpful. So, I mean, my calendar gets booked out. I mean, I already got stuff on there, through April at this point, but I take a look at what I'm doing. Recently have joined a gym that I'm obsessed with. So shameless plug for them,
Mm,
D1 Fitness. I love them, and I make sure that my workouts are plugged in for the week.
mm,
So I think I've really started getting back to that because I did let that go. I let my
mm,
fitness go. So, and your health is super important. And as a mother, and it's very difficult to put yourself first. You
mm,
put everyone else first. It's just natural. But there's a reason why on the airplane you put your oxygen mask on first so you can help others. So
mm.
if I don't take care of myself, I can't take care of my family. I can't take care of my team. Can't take care of my clients. So figuring out a way to put yourself first and keeping yourself organized and just putting yourself in the room to be able to have these opportunities. And
Yeah.
when I get overwhelmed, taking a breath and realizing, this is what I prayed for
Yeah.
9 years ago, 8 years ago when I was starting this thing out. I never thought I would be here, and I still want to keep going. There's still passion and drive there to do more, to help more people, not only with my team, to grow my team, to give them a flexible working environment. As of right now, we are all mothers. So we have a very flexible team environment where my team can go pick up their kids from school. Like, please go do that because these moments don't
Mm.
last forever. So to be able to continue to give other people that opportunity and to be able to continue to provide a really, really, really good service to our small business clients.
How often do you say no?
I've started saying no more. It doesn't seem like it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I have started saying no a little bit more.
Okay. I think that's also important. It's
Absolutely.
fine. I don't say no.
Yeah.
I got to figure that out. That's my growth journey. Figure out how to say no. But, for somebody who balances so much like yourself, clearly define boundaries. Way to go.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. What out of all of everything, what did we miss? You're the best at HR,
That's right.
point blank period. You are great with the community. You're trying to give back. You're trying to make sure that people are fed. We're putting on a gala. You're an
Mhm.
ambassador at the link. Um, what did we miss? You're a great friend, by the way. Sonia says amazing things about
Aw,
you. She
she's
really
the
does.
best.
She really does. She sings your praises every single time she can.
I
Yeah.
appreciate her.
Yeah, she is wonderful. Okay. If we didn't catch everything, we can always have you back. Let's
Yeah.
go do big things and let's come back and talk about it.
Okay.
Before we go, two things. Number one, I'd love for you to give a good solid pitch about Conceptual. If you want to look in that camera and say, hey, listen, if you need HR,
Mhm.
I'm your girl. Go nuts.
So, if you need someone to take over your HR, if you're inundated with payroll, trying to figure out benefits, answering employee questions all the time, we can take that off your plate. And if you are in need of someone to help support someone internally, we can also help you with that. So, and we do it for a fraction of the cost of hiring someone full time internally.
And not only will you take it off their plate, you will do it as the best who does that work.
Absolutely. All of our HR advisors have at least 20 years of experience. So you're
Mm,
getting someone's very senior level at a fraction of the cost.
it's wonderful. I always end with gratitude. First off, I'm grateful you're here. I'm grateful you're talking to me. But more importantly, I'm just grateful that you're in Jacksonville. We started PB and Jacks and, we came up with the name Pioneers and Builders because we're like, who is building in this city and who is doing great things, right? And most importantly for me, who is helping others provide for their families because of the work you're doing? You have 8 employees. Because of you, there's 8 people who get to put food on the table. That is not lost on me. It will never be lost on me. So the gratitude for me is thank you for building a company where people can go to work. Thank you for doing it in Jacksonville. And thank you for being you. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Very
Really
welcome.
appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.